In this video, I'm going to show you how you can fix and get out of a one-sided relationship. And this is not only something I've done, but we enroll 1,000+ clients every single year, and they all have seen just how possible this is. And so this has been a principle that's been proven thousands of times over, and you can see this anytime you see any of my client stories as well. So if you're struggling with this right now, and your partner's not even willing to try to save the relationship, leaving you with all the work in trying to save this relationship, then I want you to stick around to the very end of this video, because I'm going to try to make this a one-stop shop for this topic entirely. And if this sounds totally crazy to you, and you don't believe this at all, then all the more reason you should stay to the end. So guys, if you're new to this channel, my name is Geoffrey, and I help men in long-term relationships and marriages with the right skills and knowledge to be able to design a thriving relationship by yourself. So if you want more content on this topic, then be sure to subscribe to this channel and also click that bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos every single week. And as always, if you want to join the masterclass, if you want to submit your application for the full program itself, stick around to the very end of this video for an announcement on how you can join both those things. So the first question we have to ask here is, can you actually change other people? So your partner now is in a position where she may be stonewalling, she might be gaslighting you, she's not very committed and getting triggered a lot, playing out a lot of very toxic behaviors. Maybe they even want to see other people. And so you're wondering, will there ever be a point when my partner can be committed again, can remove all these toxic behaviors? So the main question behind all this is, can I change my partner? Well, I do agree that you cannot change other people by trying to change them directly. So this is when you're simply telling and demanding that other people change, which is what a lot of people do. And if they don't change directly and quickly, within a short span of time, they get quite upset. But while you cannot change people directly, there is something else here you can control. So if we look at this chart again, we can add another node here, and that's the environment, the culture. Because what you can do here, you can control yourself, and you can control changing the environment, the culture as well. And the funny thing is that when you change the culture, you'll be amazed often and very surprised at how much behavior can change when you change the environment, when you change the culture. And so for us to accept this premise, we need to understand another principle here, which is the role of environments on our behavior. And if you look at history, if you look at lots of scientific studies here and there, you will see that time and time again, history and a lot of studies, psychological studies, has shown that environments and culture can have massive, massive impacts on behavior. You know, you felt this yourself when you as a person, what you do, your behavior, even your mood, your personality even changes as you go from one environment to the other. You know, there are two events that I remember very well of how my behavior changed as well. When I was working one time in a very toxic company, in a very toxic culture, remember my whole personality, my whole vibe, my whole presence changed completely. And I was doing things that I would never have done or never grew up doing because of that change in environment as well. And I'm sure guys, if you look at your own life, look at the moments when environment has changed your behaviors, you can find many, many examples of that. You can even find examples of this in your own relationship, how as the environment degraded over time, your relationship started to degrade over time. It becomes harder for you to do the right things, to want to do the right things, to want to do nice things, and vice versa for your partner as well. And you see this in studies too, studies like the Stanford Prison Experiment, where they take very normal people and they put them in a situation that makes them quite evil on paper, at least. And another way you can look at this too is by deconstructing what is the root reason behind those toxic behaviors. So if you look at things like stonewalling, gaslighting, etc., or your partner not being committed, your partner wanting to see other people, sure, you can assign this to, this is a character problem. This is a problem with their personality, their character that is fixed, or you can say that this is a problem with the culture or the environment of the relationship as well. So a very simple example of this is stonewalling. You know, if you look at your own life, if you're really honest with yourself, I guarantee you that you have stonewalled people many times before. And if you look at the reasons why you stonewall, it could be one reason is that there is something wrong with your character. But usually that's not where you go. There's usually some other reasons behind it, like the fact that maybe the person you're talking to is very, very difficult to talk to. Maybe they judge you a lot. Maybe they have a pattern, a habit of not listening to you and completely twisting and bending everything you say in the wrong ways. Maybe the problem is so complex that you don't even know where to start. Maybe you feel so exhausted and so tired that you don't even want to get into it right now. And so you accidentally stonewall people, not because of a character problem, but because of an environmental issue, a cultural issue there. And you can transpose the same principle to gaslighting, to your partner wanting to see other people, etc. For every behavior, there's always two kinds of interpretations you can make. Either it's a character problem or an environmental problem. Now, when we understand the role of environments on behavior, then we also understand why creating safety in a relationship has to be the backbone, has to be the foundation of every instance of people trying to reconcile in their relationship. It has to be the foundation. Because, again, if you look at any bad behaviors, any toxic behaviors, most often, the reasons behind those behaviors, it's not a character problem. It's usually because of an instance of self-preservation. Why do you stonewall? Why do you gaslight? Why do you lie sometimes? Why do you want to get out of the relationship and explore other ones? Why are you not committed? You do all those things because you perceive a threat, usually because something bad has happened when you didn't do all those things. So all these things are basically simply a learned defense mechanism, ways for your body and mind to protect itself. It's a self-preservation mechanism. Now, am I saying that this self-preservation mechanism is healthy, is good? No. We do a lot of things as humans that are not good for us, but we do it to protect ourselves. That's why it's called a defense mechanism, and why defense mechanism is usually not a good thing. But if you create safety, then what you're doing is you're removing the need to self-preserve. And when you remove the need to self-preserve, you remove the tendency to do all these things. Why, for example, stonewall when you can totally feel safe expressing yourself? Why gaslight when you're totally safe to admit your own flaws? Why lie when you're safe to tell the truth? If you deeply program safety, then you'll find that all these toxic behaviors tend to go away as well. And this is a classic instance when what you do, you can change the environment to create safety. And once you do that, you change the environment, you change behavior in a massive way. And if you look at any and all of my client stories, you'll find that all of them started out in very dire situations, trying to save the relationship by themselves. And they all face very different and very unique problems in the beginning. But it doesn't really matter what problems they face. The first step to the reconciliation process is always the same, is to create safety. Because once you create that, you change the environment that way, it's a massive, massive change to everything else in the relationship. So I hope you see why we always say there's no situation that's unique and that it doesn't always take two to tango, because you are in control of the environment. Now, if you reject this premise and you say to me, for example, no way, Jeff, you don't understand, my partner is different. Changing the environment might change for all these people, but if I change the environment, nothing will happen. If you're saying that, think about what you're actually saying there. You're saying that there's something so fundamentally wrong with your partner's character that no matter how much you change the environment, you cannot change their character. Now think about what you're insinuating there. And if that's what you're insinuating, that there's something so wrong with your partner, then it should be no mystery to you why your partner doesn't want to be part of the relationship. Think about being in a relationship where you are villainized like that. Right? It should be no mystery to you. So that's the ironic part, is that you thinking that your partner's problems is because of her character is the precise reason why your partner is acting in a toxic way in the first place, which confirms your thought again, and this perpetuates a very vicious cycle in your relationship. Think about that very deeply, guys. And this is also the reason why, if you look at great leaders in any part of life, in any discourse of life, they always are very slow to judge people, judge character, and try to change people directly, but they're very quick to look at the environment and try to change the environment. Two simple examples is ATM machines. You know, if you look at ATM machines, what do? They would dispense your card first before dispensing the cash. Now imagine if they dispense the cash first, then they ask you to take your card. A lot of people would leave their card in the ATM machine. But for someone to think about this idea, this solution, they cannot just keep blaming character and say, oh, I wish that person would just never forget their card. Stop being so forgetful. No, they look at the environment and they go, how can we change the system, the culture, the environment of this ATM machine to make it so hard for people to forget? Same thing for UPS trucks. If you notice in the US, UPS trucks rarely turn left. They always turn right. And they do this because they want to make the UPS drivers go faster. For someone, again, to think about this solution, they have to get out of thinking about blaming character. Oh, they should just drive faster then. They look at the system and they said, how can we change the system to make it easier for them to drive faster? And the same thing for my relationship too. Whenever we talk about anything in a relationship, we never blame each other. We always get to the point where we can say, okay, how can we change the culture of a relationship to make it easy for both of us to do the right things? And that's also a key to creating safety and a key to creating success in that relationship as well. And so again, the point here, guys, is that if you reject this premise, think about what you're insinuating and think about the fact that people who are successful never think and never reject this premise. They don't reject this premise. But even after understanding this, a lot of people still remain stuck and they still don't believe this premise that this is possible, that it doesn't take two to tango. But again, remember guys, you cannot solve your problem with the same knowledge you used to create the problem in the first place. And when you are doubtful of this premise, you have to ask yourself, what principles, what thinking, what mindset am I using to doubt these premises? Is it the same mindset that you used to create the problems in the first place? Usually, yes. Because what usually happens when you are not able to fix this relationship on your own is that you are not able to break feedback loops. And what I mean by that is that, when you're in a position in a relationship where both of you are in a very bad spot, your partner does something toxic and you, being tired, do something toxic in return as well. And then this causes your partner again to do something toxic, and this cycle just keeps going. It's a tug of war, and nobody's reversing this feedback loop. Everyone's just perpetuating and adding fuel to the fire. Now, in order for you to break that feedback loop, what you need to do is to notice and observe your partner's negative behavior and say, you know what, I'm not going to blame character. I'm not going to add fuel to the fire. Let me just understand that this is an environmental problem, and let me fix the environment. And when you fix that, you start to raise her up as well. But a lot of people cannot do this because, one, they lack the external shifts to be able to conduct conversations in a proper way that actually creates safety over time. A lot of people destroy safety and they don't even know it. And a classic example of this is when, a lot of men, they think that creating safety is about knowing all the answers, about being this perfect James Bond-esque type character. But actually, when you become that person, that is the kind of person that destroys safety the most. Because there's nothing that destroys safety more than being with someone who thinks they should and are perfect. That whenever you point out their flaws, whenever you point out problems, they get annoyed, they get frustrated, they get defensive, and they pin it back on you. So that's one example of how a lot of men, they have misunderstood this whole notion of what it means to create safety. And they think they're creating safety, but they're actually destroying safety unknowingly. So that's the first problem there. And if you don't know how to create safety, you cannot reverse this feedback loop. You're always going to be stuck in believing that it's not possible to save your relationship by yourself. Now, the second struggle that people have is that they lack the internal shifts. Again, so we talk a lot in our videos, in our masterclass about untethering, about the bulletproof vest, about you not playing victim and not playing this blame game, the politics game, etc. We talk about getting rid of the ideas of toxic masculinity, of growing your self-esteem in the correct way, growing your sense of power in the correct way. I mean, we talk about so many layers of internal shifts. And if you don't have the right internal shifts here, you're going to struggle because let's say your partner does something toxic and you are not able to understand how to interpret her behaviors in a positive way, in a way that understands her. So for example, in a lot of our interviews, we talk about the idea of leaning into resistance and how resistance is a massive opportunity because when you get resistance, that's something that your partner is thinking about the whole time. And the fact that she's telling you and giving you that resistance now is a very positive thing because now you know about it and you can control it. Now, what a lot of people do is they see that resistance as a negative thing. But what that does is that, when you destroy safety like that, when you respond badly, it doesn't actually make your partner not resist you. She's still going to resist you in her mind, but now she's not going to tell you about it. And so that's another example of how you destroy safety in a very subconscious way. And now it puts you in a more powerless position because now your partner is still going to want to resist, still angry with you, still maybe wanting to see other people, but she will never tell you about it because of how you react. But if you can interpret that resistance in a proper way, then that changes everything. You can now create safety, you can now turn negative into positive. And that's what we always try to do. And that puts you in a more powerful position because now whenever something happens, you will know about it. And it prevents you from being in this position where you're blindsided in your relationship all the time. And the same thing, if you think about it, goes for raising your children, right? You punishing your children for doing something bad, for thinking something bad, it's not going to prevent them from doing those bad things. If you punish them, all it does is that they'll still keep doing those things, but now they won't tell you about it. But if you are able to create safety, you'll be the first person they go to when they have any problems, which empowers you to actually do something about it, to actually coach them about it, to actually respond to it in a positive way. But a lot of people cannot do this because they don't have the right internal shifts and they're still guided by the wrong paradigms in relationships. So again, they cannot reverse that feedback loop. Your partner resists, you will resist too. And the third reason why here is that a lot of people often lack the evidence and they're surrounded by other people with all the wrong paradigms, with all the wrong relationships, with bad relationships, etc. And so if you've never seen that this is possible, then you're not going to think it's possible. The same way, if you transport yourself back 70 years ago, it was considered impossible for humans to run the 100-meter dash in under 10 seconds. But now, high schoolers, it's an expectation that high schoolers run that if you want to be competitive. Has our bodies really changed in 70 years? No. What changed was our expectations. We have been exposed to what's possible, and now we strive higher. Same thing for my clients too. When they join the program, they see that, wow, there's 1,000+ people who are living proof that it's possible to fix your relationship by yourself, to break this feedback loop. And so if you want to see more stories of this, guys, and inspire yourself and really get your expectations to a different level of what's actually possible, then click the link above to view a lot of my client stories. And in all of them, you'll see that they say the same things. It's always possible. I never thought it was possible until I joined the program, etc., etc., etc. So it's the same narrative. And guys, if you want to learn more about these terms like untethering, like bulletproof vest, like creating safety, and what that actually means, I would also encourage you to check out the masterclass, or I put a lot of videos down below in the description box below of a lot of videos about untethering, about bulletproof vests, etc. So feel free to check out those videos down below. Now, the last thing I want to address before I end this video is that these are skills that you need to either change now or later. You cannot escape this work. So a lot of people try to escape this, and they try to pin the blame on their partner and say they're the toxic one. Like, I had this application that came in, and he said, oh, usually, Jeff, you work with people who want to fix the relationship. But in this case, it's different because I'm deciding if I want to stay in the relationship. And the implication here is that his partner is doing a lot of toxic things because of the degradation of the environment over time. But he doesn't realize that he had a massive, massive part in changing that environment in a negative way. And that her toxic behavior right now is not because she's toxic. The character is toxic, but because the environment is so toxic. So he wants to get out of this relationship because he wants to escape it. But what he doesn't realize is that you cannot escape the fact that he needs to learn how to create a proper environment in the first place. So we've established here that right now, you're stuck. You're not able to fix your relationship by yourself because you're not able to have the right internal shifts or the right external shifts to be able to change the environment in a meaningful way that will eventually change behaviors. But what you also need to realize is that the reason why your relationship got sour in the first place was because you were not able to change the environment in the first place. So your inability to change the environment right now is what prevents you from getting out of the situation, but it's actually what caused you to get into this situation in the first place. So think about this. If you're still tethered and you're not untethered, and whenever your partner does something bad, you follow along with that. Well, whenever problems come in a relationship, whether it's after you reconcile or you choose a new relationship, entropy and problems are still going to come. But when the problems come, are you going to be tethered to them, or are you going to rise above them? Are you going to succeed despite or fail because? Same thing for your bulletproof mindset. Do you crumble when things are hard, or do you thrive when things are hard? Same thing for victim mindset and blaming and playing politics. Like, how can you create safety with a victim mindset in a relationship? And if you have a toxic views of masculinity, if you have toxic views of power, if you have the wrong paradigms about everything that happens in relationships, you have to realize that all those things are what caused the relationship to degrade in the first place. They're what prevents you from getting out of this plight. And if you try to escape this work by finding a new relationship, for example, and leaving your partner because you want to escape this work of learning how to change the environment, realize that the same pattern will come back again and again and again and again. Because fundamentally, you're not able to create the right culture, the right environment in the relationship to make some meaningful, positive changes. That's the bottom line. So whether it's now or later, you have to learn these skills. And you can give yourself whatever excuses that you want to give yourself. But again, you can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. And the reality right now is that if you're not able to fix this relationship by yourself, you are lacking some major skills in changing the environment of your relationship, the culture, in a massive way, in a significant enough way. That's the reality. So guys, again, if you want to learn more about any of these terms, any of these principles that we learn here, I have a masterclass that you can join. And at the end of the masterclass, if you want to apply for the program, you can do so as well. And again, if you want to learn more about untethering, about bulletproof vests, about all these different principles, you can check out the links below and right here beside me as well. In the meantime, guys, I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers.